Welcome to Keepers of the Word, Thanksgiving episode. You're here with Mike, Ron, and James.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We just finished our Friendsgiving, and it was some good turkey,
Yes.
the fixins, all of it.
Stuffed, fat, lazy,
Feeling grateful.
ready to go to sleep. Very thankful.
And
Sleep.
I think today we wanted to talk about the actual holiday and, things that went down. So I'm going to turn it over to you, James, and just
Do we want
spit
to
it
start
out.
with the history
Do your
first,
thing.
or-
Go for it, man.
Sure, I'll give it. You want me to give a little bit of what I
Well, let's
what
do,
I
let's
was
do the
checking it out?
current. Let's go back in time. So we'll start with the current history to the modern Thanksgiving, and then
Okay.
I'll bring it back to ancient times.
Okay,
Okay.
I
let's
like
do it.
that. Why not?
Okay, so from the research I did, the current Thanksgiving, the way that we celebrate it now, pretty much started with Abraham Lincoln attempting to unite the North and the South probably after the Civil War, and create a situation where the divided Union could begin to heal and be reunited. And so the Thanksgiving holiday became official at that point, and the way that we know it now started from there. Working backwards, apparently, back in somewhere around the mid-1500s, when we had folks at Plymouth Rock, the Pilgrims, the settlers, they were thankful for their harvest, and it was really a celebration of the harvest season. So they don't know exactly when it happened, somewhere between September and November, whenever the harvest occurred. And they had foods probably very different from what we have now, what we think of our traditional Thanksgiving with the turkey and the stuffing and mashed potatoes and yams and all that kind of stuff, because their food sources that were available were different. So, they were right on the bay. They ate mussels and eel and probably some fish. And although turkeys were plentiful around that area, it's not known whether or not that they had any turkey, but it was probably unlikely. And, they harvested what they had in the area, whether it was turnips or, whatever foods were growing at that time, and whatever foods they were growing is what they harvested. But they were thankful for their harvest, and they were thankful for being alive after their, journeys across the sea. And on that day, apparently they were so excited that a bunch of those guys just started firing off their guns in a big celebration, like a bunch of redneck white Americans would, 4th of July or whatever. Let's get excited. Let's just blow shit up. Bang, bang. America. And so
It was America back then.
right.
Well,
But the Wampanoag natives heard it, and of course they were concerned because they didn't, there was
They never
shit.
heard boom.
Yeah,
no guns.
there was shit going on, and so they came to check it out. And even though some of them stayed and were invited to the feast, many of their people probably hung out in the woods and watched, because you can imagine they didn't know what the hell was going on. They didn't know if they were going to be taken advantage of or whatever. So that's kind of some of the history I learned. So what else you got there, Jamie?
what else we got? So we got, pretty much every holiday that we celebrate here as Americans, or your modern holiday is overlaps like a game of Jenga. Going back throughout history would be the lower Jenga pieces of cultures and different rites and stuff like that.
Let's just
Thank
shut
you.
up there a little bit.
There you go.
Different rites and stuff like that. And celebrations. So we have the cornucopia, which is the horn of Amalthea, which was the goat that suckled Zeus. So the horn that later, after the horn falls off, they have that. It's a cornucopia, which is the horn of plenty. So basically, you had all this an abundance of food. So where this comes to kind of ties into, this is when the dark part of the year. So you have symbolic and all that, all the good stuff. After Samhain, basically after Samhain and going forward, you have the dark part of the year where basically you're preparing the entire year for this so that you and your family don't die. We're talking before major towns and stuff like that. You have farmsteads and stuff. It's very, very similar to that. Which
stuff dies at that time.
I mean,
of
you
year. I mean,
die.
it's winter. The crops die.
You're
and-
literally preparing all year to have enough food for your family times like 3, and then also your livestock times 3, and then you have to plan for livestock maybe having babies too. Otherwise, you lose that baby, which would be a great commodity for you for the future. So a lot of these times when they would celebrate this was in celebration of, hey, we're still here. We're bunkered down, in our insulated little homes that we've made to bear through winter when death is outside your door, This is when we have Samhain. Samhain comes around, which would be Halloween for our more modern times. This is when the veil is the thinnest, when with the veil is the thinnest between life and death, because death is approaching. So these are all tall tale reminders for us to be like, get your shit in order, And this was not a fun time. This was not joking. It wasn't jovial.
Winter is coming.
Winter is coming, literally, right?
Yeah.
So
wasn't like they had the grocery store they could go down to and pick food up at. So
a lot of the times what they would end up doing at a certain point, you would go check on your neighbor. You would literally get your eldest sons or whoever was nearest to you. If you had neighbors that were real close, you guys were in a little community, you would go check on the farms or the houses that you knew were a little bit further away, and it's been a couple months since you saw them. So you would make a pilgrimage to go see them and bring food. Because a lot of times, when you start losing food, you take drastic measures to stay alive. You start eating your cattle. You eat the pets. And then, unfortunately, there are very strange and wild tales of the families start eating the children to remain alive. So you would go across the wilderness to go see your neighbor, your far neighbor, and make sure that they were still okay and bring food. And then if you brought food for them, when they were, dying and they weren't dying and they had food to bring to you too, well, I have extra food, you have extra food. Let's celebrate that we don't have to use this.
So you have a feast.
You have a feast and celebration of life that we're still here.
And I think that is important, especially in this time, right? Because we're still hunkering down. It's
we
getting
are
colder.
doing the same thing.
And we have to prepare for the elements, right? So
Right.
back then, there was no app for that.
No.
It was just really hard living. You had to live off the land, and those decisions, whether the cannibalism in America, a lot of people don't talk about it, but
There's plenty of
there's
it.
plenty of it,
Plenty
and it existed
of it.
for a long time. And I want to say, if we really were to look up stories, stories of people in the prairie or out in
Remote.
The most
locations.
modern
remotest
ones,
part.
the most modern ones are in cities.
Whoa. Okay. Well, we're talking like the Donner Pass type of people, you know what I mean?
Right,
Those type of
right.
situations
Yeah,
where
you're
you're in a
stranded.
situation and
Yeah.
you have to do it.
You have to.
You don't have a choice. It isn't because, I'm sacrificing this body. It's because, no, I need to live, so I got to eat Bob,
Right.
or-
Bob.
Yeah.
Bob says,
Bob didn't make it.
"Please don't eat me."
Yeah. So, any other tales from that time that stick out to you?
From back in the day?
Mm-hmm.
No, because that wasn't really, written down. You had stories that would formulate into one major story that would be passed around. So basically, we have all of our holidays were stories that were passed from mouth to ear, from father to son, from mother to daughter, from elder to young man, as a learning and warning. So these are ways to remember because, they didn't have big old books. They didn't have apps like what you're saying. These were tales that you learn as a child so that if you do go off as your own as a young adult, these tales. They are embedded. And think about this too, in our modern times, our child or our children, when they're 8 years old, maybe they do some dishes. Back then they were harvesting. Why am I doing this? I want to go play. If you don't harvest this, little Jimmy, we're going to die. Like they knew
That was
that.
reality back then.
That was reality.
Yeah.
So a lot of our holidays are, I won't go into too much detail on why they're like stamped over, but they're ideas that were passed down in metaphors and in song and dance, so that we can remember that in an easy fashion.
Well, I don't know. I kind of have this idea that, like you were just saying, it was so hard. It was such hard work, and you were harvesting and doing all of these things for survival. Then there were times of the year that were easy to be able to designate as a day to be able to, throw a party. Essentially take a
Right.
break. I mean, if you're working your whole life and your whole life is about survival, whether it's working in the fields or tending to your animals or just caring for your land, you got to have a certain amount of time where you can just chillax, just enjoy.
And we're coming upon that. We look at this. Well, back then, it was a matter of joining two different people, right? You had, I think there were the Puritans and the local tribe that was in the area, right?
Wampanoag.
Yeah. So now it's our family, our family and our closest friends that we share and break bread with, and we're thankful to have. A lot of the times, let's just be real, some family gatherings are just not that fun.
They are not fun. No,
There's like,
some
fuck,
are
I don't
not.
want to talk to that guy.
That one person
That
that
one
you
person
do
I
not
see,
want
like,
to
maybe
show up, that
3,
shows
4
up
times a
every
year.
time,
Yeah, so
can't get rid of them,
you got to get past that. You got to put that behind you. You got to be the adult.
at least for that day.
Yeah, and you just got to be happy and thankful that you don't have to go out and kill your cow to make food for the whole to survive the whole winter. It's I think that's where we're at now, and I also think that we need to really think about family when it comes to that time of the year or this time.
And maybe we need to force that into just being thankful and
In general,
and being and watching out for our family and even our closest friends that we consider our family. I mean, think about when COVID first hit and how people were caring for each other. People that really cared, they were watching out for each other. I remember when you called me and you were like, "Hey man, I've got some potatoes and I've got some I got some of this stuff. I got
real.
I
What
got
do
a
you
lot of
need?
extra
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
I can share, I can help you out." And to have your friends doing that during that time, like when no one could find toilet paper, it was like,
right?
I got, I
do
don't
you
have
got?
I don't have a lot, but I got some extra. If somebody needs some, we're reaching out to our families and our friends, our close people that we cared about, and wanted to make sure that they were taken care of, and that's what the true spirit of Thanksgiving should be about. And
We should continue that.
Hopefully we can, I mean, that should be the thing that we do from Thanksgiving, is take it and keep being thankful and keep moving forward with helping out.
I think more than being just thankful is also being mindful. I think we as a culture need to practice more mindfulness for the people that are out there. There's a lot of people who are lonely. Invite them over. Give them some food. If it's your neighbor, there's some neighbors that I have that we check in on because they're alone, and they don't really have anybody. So usually take them some food or invite them over. Or, just be of service. Be a decent human being.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever that person believes in or what they're into, just putting out good karma. So I think that's the major part like we're segueing into Christmas now, right? So we're being thankful, and then now we're gonna receive. So now we're gonna be receiving some gifts, and that's a whole other topic. But that one I think we could get a little deeper on.
Yeah.
But
I like what you said on how, we put our differences together, away, and then come together. So you have the Indians, and you had the Pilgrims.
I'm sorry, I said Puritans.
Puritans, the Pilgrims, they had major differences, and they were able to put that away and come together. So, I think that's something that needs to be said right now, and all this turmoil is going on. Without going too deep, there's a lot of crazy stuff happening right now. There's a lot of division from all kind of ideas, and sometimes you got to step away from those ideas and kind of just, without those ideas, there's still you and there's still me. We're still going to be here. If you can't put that aside and have a dinner on Thanksgiving and just relax, and we should probably readjust some thinking, like you were saying.
That is true. Where we're at is the whole let's build on hate. Let's not. Let's change that.
Let's heal.
Let's heal and let's move forward. And I liked it better when we're all friends, right?
Right.
Speaking of healing, though, I got a question for you. So is it going to be the Cowboys and the Washington football team that are playing this year for Thanksgiving? Because it's usually the Cowboys and the Indians that play every Thanksgiving, and there's no more Redskins now.
Redskins.
What are they going to do?
Well, I mean,
They'll still play.
Think about
right?
You think it's going to be the
the
same?
name Indian.
Yeah.
I mean,
Redskins.
that goes back to what's his name?
Columbus.
There you go. Yeah.
Columbus's misinformation that we
Misinformation,
right.
continue to refer to a people to this day because
Exactly.
of. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it doesn't make sense. Either call them by their First Nation name,
Right.
or
tribe,
Native
the tribe.
American, tribal.
Tribe,
Yeah.
Let's change the narrative, man. Give them the respect that they deserve. Like Oklahoma is about 80% reservation now, right? Is
Yeah.
that I heard?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something else.
But I mean, come on. I read today, I follow a lot of pages, and I'm part of certain groups.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody had posted, I don't know if this is true or not, I don't promote anything that's not true, fake news. But, I saw something that said these armed guys went and called this American, Native American person, is a legislator, told him to go home. And I was like, is that for real? You told him to go home. And I'm like, this is the stuff that we're talking about,
This is the stuff we need to heal. This
you
is the
just
stuff we
stop
need to get
and
through.
just know your history. Read a book. Just read a book.
Yes, some Native Americans do look Mexican.
This one did not. I'm gonna say,
actually, and we're indigenous to this continent, dude. I mean, there's a whole lot of different tribes here.
there's a ton.
There was a lot of people here before Columbus got here.
I don't even want to mention the numbers that perished.
So yeah, that's a whole genocide, pretty much.
It was the
Talking
first and largest to this date, the largest genocide known to mankind.
And yes, and it's a big blemish on our
Maybe-
history.
maybe we'll
amongst other blemishes that we have.
We'll do an
Which-
episode on that maybe at some point.
We really need to have these discussions. We need
We
to get
have
them out in
to
the
have
open
it.
and
You
move
gotta
forward.
get the Band-Aid off and let it
Let's
heal.
go.
Right?
Let's admit our faults and move forward, dude.
Yeah, work towards
That's the
healing.
only way we can move forward together instead of separated in different groups. No, dude, it's better together. That rhymes. See,
There you go. It's done.
Well, that nails it
that
down.
nails it down, man. So, anything else you want to add to the Thanksgiving feast, or anything that you think stands out during the feast?
Stands out during the feast.
And normally you bless the food, right? Like, do you bless the food, or does your dad bless the food?
We say a prayer. Or we say I think I want to say it's not so much a prayer. It's at my household, we give thanks and we talk about the things that we are grateful for in that year, the past year. We give thanks to our forefathers and our family members, our mothers and our fathers, our people who were pivotal in our family, the people who are passed. Mainly we give thanks to them, and I like to have a plate out for them. So
Do you have offerings for your?
I do have offerings. I do
altar?
ancestral worship. I do have things like that, and I like for myself. And sometimes my family does. They may not want to be a part of that because they have their own beliefs.
Right.
It makes me feel good. I think if anything, it makes me feel good when I have something that is an intimate, some type of food that this person enjoyed, and I know they enjoy that. I'll put that out there for them. And something like that. And if I'm not allowed to do that on wherever I'm participating Thanksgiving, when I go home, I have a separate altar for that, and I do partake in that.
I've never done that before, but I do kind of have my universal altar set up.
Pour a shot for your loved one.
I actually, it was just my dad's birthday just passed, and I poured it and I drank it for him. I know there's different practices. I know leaving it out, whatever. But yeah, it was just a matter.
Leave one on the altar next time.
Yeah.
Leave one, and then when you're done, you give it to the earth.
Yeah.
For the homies.
For the homies, But that's good. That's because when you do that, you keep them fresh in your memory.
Mm-hmm.
So in this time of what would be death, literally outside your doors, and that veil is now thin, you were supposed to greet. For Samhain, you have your family members coming back.
And that's the right pronunciation. Not
It's-
Samhain, Samhain.
It's Samhain.
Samhain.
It's Samhain. Like Saul and win. Correct.
Correct, Amanda.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. Glad to be of service. You corrected me earlier. I mean, I said Puritans.
Yeah, no worries.
Pilgrims.
We're
How did I get that wrong?
They may have been
They could have
Puritans.
been. Who
No,
knows?
they were pilgrims, man.
They're
Well, they were
pilgrims.
Because what did in school? What did we do?
Pilgrims.
You chose a side.
You made those hats.
Yeah, you made those hats.
And then
What do you
those
want to do?
weird
The
shoes,
pilgrim,
the buckles, and the buckles,
or do you want to be
and-
the Indian?
Yeah, I was always the Indians.
Yeah. And now it's
Yeah.
different. It's Native
I'm still an
Americans
Indian.
and-
I'm still Indian.
I always wanted to choose the Indians though because the Puritans.
I don't know
The
who
pilgrims.
is anybody
The pilgrims
here.
look nerdy.
Is anybody
buckle shoes
Native
and-
American here, percentage wise?
Native
Full,
American?
half, what?
I have some percentage. on
I don't
my
know.
grandfather's side.
So I am. I don't know if anybody knows this, but I'm a big red beard, but I am Puerto Rican
oh,
and I am Scottish.
uy,
So yeah, I am part Taino Indian, somewhat.
Taino.
Yes, amazing.
Did you know that the Scots actually, when they came to this country, a lot of them connected with Native American
Yes,
partners because the cultures were similar.
they were similar
yeah.
because the Rockies
commu-
go
the-
where?
Well, it's not the Rockies; it's
Not
the,
the Rockies. I'm sorry,
Appalachians.
the Appalachians.
The Appalachians.
Sorry, I'm corrected.
The Appalachian Mountains in Virginia and the eastern part of the United States are the exact same mountain range that's in Scotland before separation happened
Right.
and we wound up here. But even more than that, the cultures were so similar as far as a communal society and the way that the Scots were in the Highlands and the communities that they lived in, the way that the natives were here
Right.
was very similar. So it was easy for them to take wives and stuff like that. So yeah, me too. I have a three times great grandmother who had some
Something.
like Cherokee or
Right.
something like that.
Interesting.
Awesome.
Well,
Yep.
I think this is where we wrap it up.
Wrapping it up.
And I want to give a quick shout out to Marty from At Refreshment. I found out last week that he is in ICU, and he's been in ICU with his wife. He's got COVID. My thoughts and prayers are with you, brother. I hope you get
Thoughts
out
and
there
prayers,
safe for
man.
you and your lady. And I hope you get back home and we could continue this work that we do.
Agreed.
Second that.
All righty. And any shout outs you guys want to give out to anybody or any public service announcements or
Give a shout out to family, friends. I got this little saying. I do family, friends, food, drink, repeat.
nice. I like
Yes.
that combo.
I'm gonna second that because
I like
I like that. I like it a lot.